Welcome to Pitch in the Zone, our weekly gathering of coaches that help one presenter with a 3-minute pitch. Our coaches include Nathan Gold, hailing from San Francisco. We have Scotty Spurson, also from San Francisco. We have Michael Marchak from Chicago, Massimo Peroncelli in Thailand, and Rick Pollack in Boston, Massachusetts. And we have a couple of participants who have been at Pitch in the Zone before, in the same seat that our presenter is today. He is Howard Lillebo. And Howard is a seasoned entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, and I am very, very excited to see his pitch today. Howard, welcome to Pitch in the Zone.
Thank you, Claudio.
Before we start, I have a guess, but let me hear it from you. Who is the audience for your pitch?
The audience is potential good investors that want to have an exciting journey together with us.
All righty, and you are already all set up. Massimo will also keep the timer. He will count from 3 minutes down to 0. And if you should go over, we'll then go into a count up timer just to see in what range you are. And with that, Howard, take a deep, deep breath, get into the zone, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Claudio. So I'm Howard Lillebo, and I love nanotech. I mean, I really love it. So, you know, the potential to control atoms, to design specific and advanced superfunctions into materials has really fascinated me for the last 20 years. But why don't we see more nanotech products around us? It's basically because of lack of durability. And the effect is there, it's proven, it works, but it doesn't last. And in order to introduce nanotech functions into product, it has to last, right? So at Nanize, we have found this awesome solution to this problem. And we have invented a new method of mixing stuff together, patent pending. And with this, we can design specific nanofunctions into coatings that has a lifetime of 10 to 20 years. Isn't that cool, huh? So in our world, you don't have to wash your windows, or your eyewear doesn't scratch and get dirty, or no scratches on iPhone, or you don't have to wash your car, or better solar panels, or better windmills. And these are each and every one like $100 billion markets that we can change, and we plan to. So first we decided to challenge Teflon. And you know, Teflon has one of the most slippery surfaces in the world. Until now. So let me show you the graph I have here behind me. And this is coefficient of friction. And up here is Teflon, and down here we are. And this is testing with 5,000 kilos per 1 square centimeter in pressure, and no performance drop. And I think this is really cool. So actually, when the R&D partner tested this for the first time, they thought that the equipment malfunctioned because there was no friction, and they'd never seen anything like this. So we are like Teflon, just much better, more slippery and more durable, and it's a transparent coating. So we have an incredible team, 3 PhDs and 1 Master of Science in physics, chemistry, and nanotechnology, world-class management, and we raised €1 million so far. I'd like to leave you with one final thought. The next time you see dirty glass or dirty eyewear, think about Nanize and know that there is a better way. And if you want to join us on this exciting journey, give me a call. Thank you.
Oh, very, very nicely done. Your delivery, very conversational, very pleasing on the ear. Really, really nicely done. Let me immediately dive into our coaches. And today I'm going to start with Massimo. Massimo, what kind of observations do you have for Harvard and how can he improve an already pretty good pitch?
Yes, thank you. As you said, very nice tone, very conversational, very secure, very confident. The first thing I noticed, your hands. You kept your hands like this for 41 seconds. Then you touch your glasses and you put them down for the rest of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Oh, so really? Your was like this. He looked like a priest in a way. So he was
I'm preaching a gospel.
yes. Try to use your body gesture, using more variety, at least for that.
Okay. Thanks.
And I would say when you introduce your topic, a real example would be, in a way better. Like everybody has a phone, right? And I guess you have plenty of scratched phones, or just use an old one and scratch it, show it. Look at that. How many times has it happened to you? You know, if you use our coating, whatever, right? And then just to, because then when you started to really describe it, I'm an engineer, so I have no problem. But you said coefficient of friction. Wow, like investors are not supposed to know what is that, and numbers. And talk about the numbers, I would have expected a little bit of, okay, I asked you for this, and after 1 year, you get back that. So I didn't really see the investor part in the pitch, but I totally enjoyed that, and I'm sure that's the future, because I'm waiting for all of these unscratchable things. So happy to having met you before. Thank you.
Thank you, Massimo. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Massimo. Great feedback as always. Moving on to Michael, because Michael also put a couple of comments into the chat box that are relevant to what Massimo was just sharing. So please, Michael, take it from here.
I agree with what Massimo said. I can tell you're an engineer based on how you approached the discussion. Very technical, and I know you're
actually not.
Well, you're disguised yourself well, because you came in that way. You came in and it sounded like you're an engineer describing this stuff. And for someone who is very technical, the discussion you had would be very exciting to talk about the the coefficient of friction and the other things you're talking about. But I didn't even know where you're going with this nanite kind of concept till much later in the discussion. If you started off with talking about, because you start talking about durability and how they wear off and whatever, I didn't even know what you're talking about. For all I know, you were talking about like heart implants or something like that. And gosh, after these nanite things wear off, then people die. I had really no idea. Then you start talking about coatings, and then it started making more sense. But it took me a while to piece things together, and I shouldn't be working so hard to piece things together as you're discussing. I think you've got all the good components there, but bringing it back together, as Massimo said, as an investor, I'm listening to this here. I want to know sort of what problem you're addressing right now, and the fact that you've got this patent pen technology is great, because that obviously connects to where you're going with this. You've got a team that's created this patent pending thing, awesome. And here's the market that we're going after, and why we think this is such a huge opportunity for coatings on glassware, on glass in general. For this year, it's going to be a spray coating that we can apply to your phones, and we're going to sell it this way. We're going to have opportunities for doing this for airline industry, aerospace, but blow this thing up so you can say, here are the 7 million places where this is going to be used, and the market is so huge we can't even tabulate at this point because there's so many opportunities. That gets me excited as an investor. But when you start talking about, is my eyeglasses scratched or whatever like that, there's a market for that, but there's also coatings that already existed. I wouldn't know how this compares to those, et cetera. So I wouldn't necessarily know how revolutionary this is, even when you describe the coefficient of friction. So I think it's an interesting idea. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes with it, but that's how I, as an investor, was listening to this.
Thanks, Michael. And just to sort of give you a quick reply on that. And this is, of course, quite technical. It's deep tech, it's deep chemistry. And my mission here was really to try to bring the story alive to non-technical people. So that I thought it was a little fun that you thought I was an engineer, because I'm actually not. Thanks a lot.
Very good, very good. Well, you're presenting the role that you need to present, so absolutely great. Scotty, what kind of feedback do you have for Howard?
Sure. Hi. So, no, it was a very fine delivery and easy to listen to. Along the lines of what Michael was saying, I didn't really catch how you use it. And also, are you B2B or B2C? You know, like, is it something I'm going to get to buy, or is this something that you're going to sell to the eyeglass manufacturers? I mean, I would assume it's B2B.
Yeah,
is my guess.
Yeah.
And also, like, who are you and why you? I mean, you look nice and you have this great background and a super cool team, but I don't know anything about why you are the one to solve this problem and why you're the one to lead it, other than when Claudio had said you're a serial entrepreneur, but we didn't hear that in the pitch. So I think more background around that would be super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other thing? Oh, and your revenue run rate, you know, like I don't see how you're going to make money. So why would I invest money? So I think that could be an addition to it in the end. And an actual ask, what were you, I didn't hear an amount. So I don't know if you had that factored in, or unless I missed it. So.
No, I wasn't specific on that.
Okay.
And that sort of, this was just to ignite interest in hopefully sort of a good resonance with those who are interested in this area.
Yeah.
And I've been CFO for about 10 years, so I can do all the numbers, but I'll do that later.
Okay, but why you? I mean, how did you even get involved with this?
Well, it's sort of actually because of this initial story that I started with. I actually saw a woman wearing a white dress on a tech conference in 2003. And then came this waiter up, and he had a glass of wine, and he sort of purposely spilled it over her dress, and there was no stains. And here we are in 2021, and we still don't have this technology available. It's crazy. Why is it so? So I actually started to ask these kind of questions, like, why don't we see these products? I have a 2-year-old kid. Why is his clothes dirty still? Like, what's going on here? And actually the real issue is durability. So you can get super hydrophobic, like all these technical advanced functions, but they don't last. And that's what we have solved. And yes, maybe I could also told this story, but it's only 3 minutes.
Yeah. But do you have a specific background in this, or just that you're a serial entrepreneur and you, so if you are a serial entrepreneur, how many,
I've been a serial entrepreneur for about, 20 years. I'm 41 years old, so it's sort of better part of my career. And I've been part of scaling two big industrial companies. One was my own, it was like from 0 to 180 employees, 35 million euro revenue. So I funded about $135 million for my startups. And of course I could have sold all of this also, but I wanted to sort of have the focus on nanize now.
I think there's a way to do it all.
Yeah, maybe.
It was great, really interesting. And to me, that's more interesting as an investor. It's like, oh, he's done this before, right? He knows what he's doing, and he knows how to raise money and get an exit. Tap. So.
Yeah,
great.
Absolutely. Credibility is so important. Even if you have a reputation, still important. I was just watching the Apple event this week, and even Apple had to establish, or felt the need to establish, credibility here and there, just to make the offer even sweeter. So yeah, credibility. And then the one thing that you just mentioned right now was that, the durability. This is really your differentiator. This is what makes you unique. And I think that's not coming out in the presentation as strong as it possibly should. My mind is still going around, eyeglasses.
Yeah.
And
but sort of Claudio, sort of eyeglasses, that's like $160 billion business. So
good.
just solving that problem is actually kind of cool, huh?
Yep. All right. So moving on to Rick. Rick, what kind of observations do you have for Harvard?
Yeah, I think you should have opened by spilling a glass of wine on your shirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was, and I think Massimo mentioned the story is interesting, but yeah, I think your opening where you're talking about how you love nanotech and it had to last, that could be more in the center. I think what I got out of it was the windows, the glasses, the cars. That to me, if you started with that, or if that was closer to the beginning, that would make at least the investors understand. And from the graph you have, I mean, I'm an engineer or a recovering engineer, but the coefficient of friction to an investor, I would rather put something that if you had, for example, in an office building, windows that have to be washed once a month, but if you use nanize, they have to be washed once a year. To me, that's much more effective to an investor than a wavy graph with coefficient of friction.
Yeah.
So I think that's more of whether it's glasses, whether it's cars, whether if you can save people, millions of dollars in just the labor of washing things and not have to do that, that came across to me as the real differentiator of that. And I mean, as an engineer, Teflon is nice and all the technical things on it, but it's more of the result of it. You don't have to wash things as often, and you don't have to pay for that. So that's what jumped out to me more than that. So I think my recommendation would be bring some of that closer to the front. And the graph, I mean, I look at the graph and yeah, I see coefficient of friction from Teflon, but it really doesn't mean for the result of nanize is, the bottom line is that it's going to last a long time and you won't have to clean things as often, whether it be your glasses or your car or the windows. So that would be my suggestions on it.
Oh, thanks a lot, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rick. And moving on, let's go with Jess. Jess, you always have great feedback for our presenters here as well. What do you have for Harvard?
So I agreed with the feedback. I liked your presentation style. It was easy to listen to. But I will say, until Rick just gave us an explanation, I had no idea what you were doing. Like it was way beyond anything I've ever read about or understood. So I would recommend you starting with just explaining this as if someone's never heard of anything that has to do with it. Because I listened to the whole thing and listened to all the feedback, and I'm still like, I don't know what the hell this thing is. So that was my first piece. And then also some slides might be really helpful to include in the presentation. That might be something to think about as you build it out a little bit more. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Jess. And moving on to Kevin. Kevin, what kind of feedback do you have for our presenter?
Thanks very much, Claudia. Yeah, I thought the presentation style was very interesting and standing up. But as Massimo said, that what do you do with your hands, because you're sort of cut off. So it's a new presentation position that we need to work on, I think. I don't know how best to, maybe Nathan or somebody's got some ideas on that, but it's a different position, and how do we get the best out of that? I was excited about nanotechnology nearly 20 years ago, and I'm still waiting to see what's going to happen with it. And I think so. This is a great sort of pitch in that respect. And now I know the answer. It's the durability of it. Well, I almost know the answer anyway regarding that. What does that really mean from sort of sustainability? You've got your patent, but how long is that really going to protect you from the point of view of investors in that sort of way? And scalability. Am I investing in an invention, an idea, or am I investing in a business? What I mean by that is, have you thought about how you're going to market it, how you're going to get paid for all these other companies that are using your product and getting a percentage? Huge market's great, but if you don't get any money out of it, that's no benefit. So, and the other thing was, I know we've said about we don't really know what the investment opportunity is and what the returns are going to be on that, but you said that you've already had €1 million. What have you done with it? What have you spent it on? What's your track record, and why are they not investing another million? Why are you coming out to the market for investment? So generally, I think it's really great, and I hope you succeed.
I said
Sorry?
no to I said no to more than 1 million euro. It's actually the fact. It was oversubscribed. So we are building a team. We are filing more patents, and yeah, of course, there's lots of good traction on this. So we're building a separate lab to be able to scale this. I think to your comment about sort of the process, there was actually one line I forgot completely that I was intending to have with on this, and that is that this is actually room temperature processing. So no complex processes. So you can apply it in room temperature. So it's very scalable and very industrial. And that means very low cost. So it's actually quite a key piece I forgot from my own sort of presentation, but okay.
You reminded me
All right.
one other thing. Sorry, there's one other
Mhm.
thing is about
Sure.
Teflon. You chose Teflon as to be your comparator and what have you. And Teflon did have some pollution issues. Yeah,
Yep.
pollution issues, and somebody may return on that. So I don't know if you need to use Teflon as your idea, especially with a lot of what's in the news at the moment regarding climate
Well,
changes.
that's even one more reason to get rid of Teflon. So that's my viewpoint, actually.
Well, maybe you want to
But-
add it, or maybe not.
But Teflon is like someone that everyone has a relationship to, like the cooking ware and sort of scratched in the fry pan and stuff like that. So that's why I chose it. But I know all the negativity with Teflon. We don't have that.
All right.
That would-
Okay. Moving on, Debbie, what kind of feedback do you have for our presenter today?
Good morning. Yes, I like this, the style of you standing up and the nice background. All of that was very, very good to, see your actions and the way you're speaking and all. But I was like Jess too. I was just totally confused exactly what it was until it got further into it. And I do think to me, Teflon has a bad taste, especially from environmental and things like that. So I think if you did use the Teflon to say that you could replace Teflon, and then maybe focus on one particular thing like the glasses or something, so that somebody can really grasp what you're doing with one thing, just eyeglasses instead of all over the place, because then that makes it feel like a little too just out of something I can't relate to just as a normal person and all. So those were the only comments, but I thought your presentation was very good.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And moving on to Hai, what kind of feedback can you provide to Howard?
Hi, I like the presentation, the way, the dialogue going, which is very nice. I think for the final closing, I guess what you want is people to come and approach you with more question, or kind of like, so I guess that could be an investor or someone else, I guess. Not sure if you have, if that's what you meant, or is something, more specific, that you want people to come.
Okay.
But,
Okay. Yeah. More specific call to action close. Scott, what kind of feedback do you have? You will be in that seat next week again, I think. So please take it from here.
Well, I like the presentation, but I struggled at first to really capture exactly what the product would be. I'm not technical, so I was having some issues up front, but then eventually picked up on it. And like others were saying, how do you market this? Where is this going to go as a technology? So, but I like the presentation.
Good, good. And I think this is the general tone, I think, of all the feedback so far. Your delivery is absolutely superb. The content, there is a lot of room, or some room for improvement, but let's hear from Nathan, because Nathan, you have worked together with Howard for quite some time already, and I saw you take meticulous notes, so I'm really, really curious. What are your top items that will help Howard?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say that I haven't worked with him in 9 years.
Oh.
So it was literally in 2012 when we worked last time, right, Horvath?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Okay. So it wasn't like last week. Not that I don't, anyway, let me go right on to a couple things. So you told us that you wanted to ignite interest, right? And so if you want to do that, you didn't give us enough, in my opinion. The use cases for coatings is phenomenal. And like you said, there's so many markets and billions or trillions in each of those markets that the first thing an investor is going to say is, whoa, come back later when you're focused. And so if you don't at least give us, I think it was either Jess, Michael, or Kevin, somebody said, there's just all of these markets, but if you don't make it more understandable about how you're going to go to market or what your plans are to take this invention to the world, it's going to be like spin their minds a little bit. So I figure I'd like to suggest that maybe you pick your first 3 markets, even though there's probably 20 or more, or I don't know how many, but pick your first 3 obvious markets. For example, eyeglasses. Okay, I get that one, but what's even more compelling than that? For me, it would be, making sure autonomous cars can see, or autonomous vehicles can see, and they've got glass over those cameras and sensors and things like that. And like you say, windmills and solar panels, your lifeblood for a long time. Who's going to go up and wash a panel? Do we ever wash a panel? Probably not, right? And if you do, it's very expensive and dangerous. I feel like you have a really bigger story here, and that is perhaps, I don't know if you want to go this route, but it seems like you could almost go the water route, meaning you could save trillions and trillions of gallons of water around the world if only they'd apply this coating to things that require water to wash.
Yeah.
Just start there. You said it with your clothing. I mean, how many pieces of clothing do we all wear that we wash every day, every other day? So the water aspect of this, I feel like is, we've heard people say fresh water one day will be not a commodity. It's going to be something we go to war over. So I hope not. But look what you can do for that. You can stave off that for a very long time, probably, maybe forever. So the last thing I want to say before I give it over to Claudio is, have you heard of Cathay Photonics Limited? Cathay, like in the Cathay airplanes? No?
No.
Okay, please check them out. Cathay Photonics Limited from Hong Kong. They invented a coating, and it sounds like what you're doing. Look at what they're doing. If you'd like to talk to them, I can connect you up.
Oh, good.
All right, but their story sounded a little bit like yours in a way.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Come on back another day.
Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you so much, Nathan, and thanks to all the other coaches as well. And yes, I would like to see a next version of this, Harvard, and hop on my calendar anytime in the next couple of weeks. We'll do another quick get together because I'm really, really intrigued by your technology. We met briefly earlier this week, and I think there are a couple of people on this call right now that have had an interest, or at least the finger on the pulse of this thing for 2 decades already. And we are wondering what's gonna happen. And it is a real pleasure to have someone at Pitch in the Zone that is contributing to actually make this technology useful and happening. So Howard, please do come back. And what is your feedback to us? Did you get what you were looking for from this session here today?
Yes, thank you so much. I actually love your feedback and sort of how you perceive sort of this story and sort of see the potential and sort of take it down and sort of be more concrete. And so I will probably look at this video afterwards a few times to sort of start to think. It's really valuable feedback. Some of the problem, as I think Nathan was touching on, is that this coating has so many potential applications. And that's actually what we have been working on for the last 3 months now, to be very, very focused on like a few applications. And this car thing, for instance, you mentioned, Nathan, that's something that will come a little bit later. It has the potential, but I wanted to sort of mention it to be able to, like, I want my car dirt free, right? Like if I didn't have to wash my car, that was actually a really cool thing. So, and as you said, the gallons of water that is sort of being wasted because of this, it's crazy. No, it's a cool team. It's something we really love, and I think the potential for what we're doing here is crazy big. So thank you all.
Attach yourself to the UN Sustainable Goals too if you go the water route.
Yeah, this is super sustainable in so many ways. Yeah. So thanks a lot for each and every contribution, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and we all look forward to seeing you back here. And in the meantime, I wish all of you a great day, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thanks to all of the coaches for providing all this valuable feedback, all the participants coming back week after week. It's a wonderful, wonderful environment that we are providing here for one presenter every week to practice the 3-minute pitch. With that, enjoy, have fun. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.